Hello, welcome back. I am Darcy Darkness. This is Confessions from the Dark Side. How are you all in this wonderful community? Today is Confessions of the Dark Side Presents Reviews from the Dark Side. Yes, what is Reviews from the Dark Side? Well, let's get the disclaimer out the way first. Because it's me, and can I be trusted not to, well, be colourful? Probably not. We are full of so much adult content that some of you may think this is unnecessary and some of you may think this isn't needed. If you are one of those people, then thanks for checking us out, but I will say this only once. If you can't stand the heat, then get the fuck out of my kitchen. So, now, for everyone else who likes what we have here, then regular scheduled programming will continue. Shall we get started? Then are we ready? So what are we covering today? Well, we are going to be reviewing a movie called Abigail. Have you seen it? Do you enjoy it? It was released on April 19th, 2024 of this year, of course. And I'm just going to talk about a few people who are in it so you can familiarise yourself with the actors who are in it. You may know them, you may not. We've got Melissa Barrera, who plays Joey, and you will know her from Scream. The new trilogy, apparently. She was only in the first two parts, but she was fired. Not that we're sad about that. Dan Stevens plays Frank in this. He was in Downton Abbey. Again, couldn't pick him out of a lineup, didn't watch it, but he's in the new Godzilla film that was out this year. Alisha Weir, who actually plays Abigail herself, she was in Matilda the musical, and she plays Matilda in it. And she was also in another horror movie based in Irish folklore, which was called Don't Leave Home. William Catlett, who plays Rickles, he's also the producer on Abigail as well, not only an actor, but he's also a producer on this. And I know him from LoveCraft County and Constellation, that are both TV shows. Kathryn Newton, again, she plays Sammy. I know her from the Carrie Diaries, don't judge me, she played Clare Novak, who in Supernatural, who was Jimmy Cass's vessel's actual family, and she also starred in Supernatural as well. She was also in Lisa Frankenstein this year, and also The Society, which is a TV show. Kevin Durand even, he plays Peter in this. He's like the muscle. He's in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. He was in Locke and Key, and he was also in The Shrine, if you can remember that, which was a graphic novel that was made into a TV show. You've got Angus Cloud, and again, I recognised him. I've never seen Euphoria, but I understand that the guy is now deceased. He died in 2023. So, yes, Angus Cloud plays Dean in the movie. Giancarlo Esposito Lambert in this, and he was in Breaking Bad. That show probably know him from. It's his big, massive role where he was like the guy in the shack for the chicken. Matthew Good, who plays Father. Again, I didn't even know what he was in because I've never really seen him in anything, which is good. It's not a bad thing having actors that you don't know because, again, they could be new to the craft. This could be their big break or their first movie, or they've obviously been in things in America or their home country, or they've been in theatre and things like that. Most people start out somewhere, usually a terrible movie, but hey. So the plot, right. A team of individuals with a unique skill set are employed for a job to kidnap the daughter of a powerful, rich, yet ruthless underworld king. And the reward after 24 hours is $7 million each. And you each will get your $7 million once the 24 hours is up and they've got what they wanted from said bad guy. Which always makes me laugh when they kidnap a strong and powerful and ruthless guy, basically, of the underworld, kidnapping his daughter, really. So they have no idea who the daughter is or who her father actually is. They just know he's a powerful, rich man with connections to the underworld that they talk about quite frequently in the movie. It's, again, they never wanted to discuss who her father was because then, again, you would be opening yourself up to, if you're caught, etc., and the information you know. It's basically best to not know. So I told you the characters that they play, they don't go by their real names in the movie. That's what they said. They decided just to give each other they gave each other names just so they basically, if they're caught, they can't actually name anybody or anything. Let's see. So it starts with Abigail dancing in an empty theatre, really getting into routine, and watching ballet is very powerful for me, quite emotional. Certain dance styles can give you sort of that sort of feeling of emotion, powerful, also sadness, happiness. It's just so many different feelings and emotions all at once, especially when you watch anyone dance, especially, again, ballet can be, again, very powerful, like I said. An expression, it's very powerful. If the dancer themselves is very passionate, especially, the precision of her balance and how she expresses herself in each step and movement is very beautiful. So she is picked up in a lovely Rolls Royce car of, again, a lovely Rolls Royce, which is a car of the rich and elite, timeless classic, and a driver, that's it. Then she is being followed by the team, of course, because obviously they know when she does ballet and they know how long she's in for, and they're trying to figure out how many people actually are surrounded by her and how much of a threat and how much things that basically they have to rule out in order to have a successful kidnapping, of course. Abigail enters her home with not many around. It's night time, it's dark, and everything is very simple, and yet wondering who the fuck this actually is. He goes, why are they so important? Most of the team don't seem to care who she is, and it's not about the girl, it's about completing the job to get the money after 24 hours. Of course. Well, the team use their skills individually and also as a team to kidnap Abigail without setting off and alerting anyone who would be protecting her. So that's why this team is built basically on their strength. Well, she's on the phone when she's in her bedroom and she hears a noise. Now, see if you live by yourself and there's like a skeleton crew of people in your house and there's maybe like 3 people, you're going to hear noises and you're going to hear things that usually aren't there, especially if you have a routine. So in this story, if you haven't seen the trailer for Abigail, she would know there's other people in her house. Scents, noises. Her hearing is very, very good. And she would know that other people were in her room and other people are talking on comms, even if they're whispering. That's the thing. And she is on the phone to someone and she pauses because she can hear something else. And then she continues to talk on the phone. So I think she's on the phone to either her dad or someone else, that looks after her, because it seems to be that she's been checked up on, like after she gets back from ballet, like asking about her day and stuff like that. So she is being watched whether they are there or not. The team use their skills and work as a team to kidnap Abigail without setting off any alert. So basically the people in her home are like a close-knit, not community, but team that would be protecting her. Because if your dad or any of your family are rich and powerful anyway, whether it's bad or good, you're going to have security of some sort. It's just that I was really surprised that it was only like one driver and one person in the house. That's like 2 people. And one of them doesn't look particularly young or strong. It sounds terrible to say that, but he's just like a driver. And I know looks can be incredibly deceiving, but it's like there's only one person protecting that lassie at one time. And if they weren't superhuman, then how are they going to manage to take her out? They managed to inject her with something that slows her breathing. Hello. You know why I'm saying this, but hey, let's move on. Again, if you haven't seen the trailer, you haven't seen it. But you're going to have lots of spoilers in this, so as I said, you wouldn't have a pulse technically anyway, so slowing down what, for example, again, they haven't been told who she is, who her father is, and what Abigail, is capable of. She's, so they get out, they have to leave the city unseen again, never can agree with what to do next. It's basically a scene where she tells, it's Kathryn Newton, who plays Sammy, she's obviously the tech girl, and she says, like, you need to go down here and take the next left or something, and Angus Cloud, who plays Dean, turns round and basically fucks with her plan and then ends up beside a big, massive truck that obscures them, which means they don't have to take a detour. They can never agree on what to do next, even with their skills. But again, it can be too many cooks at this point. They seem to work better when they're on their own, as if they're independent and hate everyone, which again is not a bad thing. So they head to a partially run-down mansion. Some parts are clearly kept in good condition, and that's usually right inside the building, not in the kind of outskirts where you actually walk in. It looks amazing, yet the rest of the house is very, very run down and beat up. It's like the outer core of the house has fallen down to hide the inner core, but it's still pristine like a secret. Maybe, perhaps. What the hell has been kept in there? Who the hell knows? When you look in the floor, there's like beautiful marble flooring, and there's like kind of a family like chest. So there is, because it's like a shield, and you see that kind of thing, like trying to figure out who the fuck they are. And these kind of mansions, even in America and things like that, are obviously going to be owned by families of old money, basically. Abigail seems to be a very good actress, acting like a vulnerable, scared little girl. She's like pre-teens, maybe 11 or 12. She's playing on Joey, who is played by the girl from Scream, the Melissa Barrera. And they do this thing where they do a pinky swear, like she says, "Are you going to hurt me?" And she says, "I promise I'm not going to hurt you." She's wearing a mask, Joey, at this point as well, because she doesn't want to actually show her identity to the wee girl, but she also has to be there to actually check on her vitals and check on her health, that she is okay. That is her job. You find out that she actually was in the military as a medic. So she's there to basically check on the girl, make sure the girl is okay and everything like that. She's developing this rapport and this relationship. Now she thinks Abigail is scared and vulnerable when she's not. She's building up a rapport with her for a reason. And if you're not smart enough to realise that she has an ulterior motive, Abigail, then God help you. That's all I can say is, little girls in shows and movies that are based around horror, psychological thrillers and stuff. You know, when children are involved, they are evil as fuck. Because Joey's got a motherly nature, she's acting if she's scared and she wants to be reassured that she's okay. She tried to tell Joey who her father is, and she said she doesn't want to know. Only Joey is the one who actually admits that she doesn't want to know who their father or her father is. She keeps going to check on her, and we find out she's like an addict, it seems, because she does this trick. Like someone gives her like I think it's like $20 or $100, whatever, and they go around, and she's intuitive. She can tell by looking at you that either you're hiding something, or she can tell by your mannerisms and stuff. And like, for example, the guy Dan Stevens who plays Frank, she says he's got a cop look basically about him, and now you could tell just by looking at him, he kind of looks like one of those people who's trying to play gangster, like in Grand Theft Auto, with like the big gold chains and the terrible clothing choice as well, because you're trying to look like you're like of money, but you're not, and you just look stupid. So they've dressed him like that. So basically, Frank wants to know, and she turns around and says that he was in the military, he was in the police force, but he wasn't a normal police officer, more like a detective. Because of how he is, he's wary, he understands things, and he's obviously sure of himself, doesn't trust others, doesn't let people get too close, meaning that he's been undercover at some point and he's had to distance himself, because that's what happens when you go undercover. You've got to become a whole new persona and you can't actually have any ties to the world in your old life. And that's kind of how he is now. She goes round and she says to Sammy that Sammy's obviously of money. She comes from money. She doesn't do these jobs for the money. She doesn't care. It's the kick and the thrill, because when you've been brought up around being rich and having an affluent background, having money in your bank is one thing, but it's no risk. There's no excitement. So a lot of people who are brought up like that take a lot of risks in their adult lives, their teenage and their adult lives, to get attention, to feel like they're alive, because even though they have that money and that stability, they're protected in such a way that they do these things because it gives them a rush, and that's what Sammy is like. And she goes round everybody, like she goes round Angus Cloud's character who plays Dean, and says that he's inexperienced, and he goes, "What are you trying to say, that he's shit at his job?" And he's really defensive about it, and she says, "No, I'm not saying that you're not good at what you do, you're just not organised, you don't have structure, you've not been doing it for very long. You can have a talent at these things, but you just don't have, we don't have the patience of someone who has done plenty of these types of jobs before and taking things in and learning from your mistakes." He's still like a baby, like a puppy. He's learning, he's training type thing. She never said he was shit. He said he had a natural talent for this. But again, he took offence to this. But I am not surprised. Frank knows the guy Lambert, by the way. He speaks to him right at the very start when they go to the mansion that they go to. So there's that. That wee thing, if you notice, that he leaves them. That's the thing. He walks out and leaves them and said, after 24 hours, you'll get your money as long as the girl's okay, blah, blah, blah. So they have the run of the mansion, apparently, a full kitchen. They had to hand over cell phones, which I thought was creepy as fuck. See, the minute you've got to give up your technology when you go into somewhere, there's a fucking problem, and there's obviously something more larger at play. Again, these days, handing over technology is like having your arm amputated or waking up in a bathtub of ice because your organs have been harvested. That sort of icky feeling, that's what you get when you hand over technology, especially when you're in a rundown mansion that looks fucked up. So, but 24 hours and they'll get their 7 million, etc. And they think if someone like dies or is taken out, then they get their 7 million type of thing. They find out who Abigail's father is because Frank, on his infinite wisdom, goes into the room that Abigail's in without a mask on because she had a blindfold on and Joey took it off, but she didn't know. So she's seen his face and he's like putting a gun to her head and saying, "Have you seen my fucking face? Have you seen my face?" This wee girl. Any kid would be like scared, but she's acting scared. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. Please don't hurt me. Like it sounds terrible, but Abigail, it's like she likes this. She likes to play victim. She likes to play what people think she is, but she's got like an ace up her sleeve because she's not. After they find out who her father is, Frank comes out and he's like shaking his head and he's losing his shit and he's just like, "No, I'm out of here, man. No fucking way. No fucking way." They're talking about stories that sound closer to folklore and like, like old stories like massacred. It was more like a monster came in and take it everybody and slaughtered everybody, organs removed and everything. But apparently he's human, or so they're led to believe. And they're just like, it's all urban legend, it's all fake, it's a fake to it's fake to scare people and all that carry on. And so they've all shot it basically. They want to get the fuck out of Dodge. The penny drops and they try to leave. And they open the front door and they didn't realise they were actually locked in. Locked in. Completely, there's like, it looks like a cell more than anything else. Now, if a door has been locked from the outside, it's not to keep you from getting out, yes. It's usually to keep something in. Because if something gets out, then all hell will break loose, yes? So they realise they're locked the fuck in. The big strong guy, as they call him, the muscle, who is played by Kevin Durand, who's played by Peter, he runs at it, doesn't he? Hurts himself. Nothing happens, but it triggers something in the house that everything, like all windows, everything that would show light ends up completely like locked up like a fortress. So no light is getting in. So that means in 24 hours it'll be complete darkness all of the time unless they can get light into the house somehow. Yes. Are we seeing this? They are trapped in the house, but not to protect that wee girl for 24 hours. Can you imagine what fun and games are about to ensue? These people who kidnapped her, and I say kidnap with air quotes in the air even though you are not seeing my face. Is this where the fun's about to happen, perhaps? Let's see. So we find out that Joey actually is an addict because she starts to pop sweets or candy or whatever, and that seems to obviously help her from spinning out of control type of thing. And you see her constantly just popping something like every hour, or maybe when she's anxious, but it's like a meticulous, repetitive trait that one would do, obviously, to maybe help with anxiety and things like that. So the rundown mansion that you're locked in is not to protect you now, is it? So, what does this mean? Well, it's to keep you in and whoever else you're with and no one is getting out. It's survival. All about survival, and they have 24 hours, so maybe they're down to maybe like 20 hours now, maybe, or 22 hours now, because of the fanning about of like them talking and talking shite for ages. So, as you can imagine, the carnage, some epic death scenes, very bloody and gory, and Abigail, well, she is magnificently terrifying, gets with grace in each and every kill. From playing them off each other, setting a paranoia bar so high because of her father's nightmare stories and having them think that someone is the real bad guy. Working for Abigail's father, that's how she does it. She pins them off each other and makes them think that there's a mole, basically. That's how Abigail's father knows he's listening, dreaming of what to do, where to go, who to kill, and when to do it. Or who to turn. That is right. The girl they kidnapped is a little terror. A little undead terror who is the mastermind behind this whole kidnapping. If excess baggage had fangs. Now, again, if you don't know what excess baggage is, it's a film with Alicia Silverstone, who is a rich girl who gets Benicio del Toro. He steals her car and she is actually in the boot because she's trying to get her father's attention. So that's what I'm trying to say, if you didn't know what excess baggage was. So a lot of spoilers here, even though it's the plot, but if you've not seen it and you don't like it, then you know what to do. Switch the fuck off, come back when you've seen it, and then you can hear my discussion, my breakdown about it. A lot of spoilers, but it's a view and a discussion and reaction after the body count starts to rack up. She explains why this has happened. Can you imagine why this has happened and why she's went after these people and why she's brought all these people together and why these people were picked to kidnap her? Well, Abigail is a typical child, even though she's undead and been a forever child for who knows how long. He's trying to get our father's attention, his approval, and to be accepted as an equal to him in his life and his empire. So her being a fragile child, this means she stays in this body, she never ages and is always seen as a weak and vulnerable little girl. When she is no innocent at all, she is barbaric and ruthless, and her father keeps her away from his empire and doesn't pay attention to her, it seems at all. The mansion they are in is where she was apparently turned by him originally, so that means that she probably lived there. That was her family home. So again, there's a lot of things with vampires that are sentimental about who turned you, where you were turned, how you were turned, whether it was punishment, whether it was torture. There's this whole like mental like abuse that goes along with you being turned and what it does to you from going from human and your proper transformation to vampire, which is undead and pretty much until you die or you are killed. So again, it's a whole lot of turmoil for your brain, and for a child to go through that and never grow up is incredibly. It's heart-wrenching when you think about it, that she never gets to grow up, she never gets to experience things as in an adult body. She would never get to be with a lover, get married, be like she'd be in a child's body because they would look like they were pedophiles. I felt she was turned as a punishment when she was on about how she was turned in that house. Like her biological family, because her father seems to torture his enemies or anyone who comes close or hurts people he cares about and people in his business. He really, anybody who wrongs him or like wrongs anyone in his path, then you're basically wronging him, which means you're taking a hit out on him. So therefore, he doesn't take any prisoners. He like just is very, very ruthless. And if someone did do something to him, I don't think it would put it past him to take out a child, put it that, and turn them into a vampire, especially if it was your own child, your only child, especially, and made them a vampire and made them watch, and then obviously made the child be watched. Obviously, that's happened a lot as well. And the survivors of these things in these movies, especially vampires and all that, that you're turned and you watch everybody that you love die basically because they're trying to show you. Usually they keep the last to like the turn to the end, and usually the father would have to or the parent would have to watch as they're turned because they're making a monster from their only living child. It's an ultimate punishment. So this mansion, as I said, has a symbol to her, a connection to this mentalist that is her. Abigail. She seems to be a prisoner in her life. She just wants him to see her, and yet she is left to live with no one. No doubt she cannot control herself around many Happy Meals with legs, and it must be incredibly difficult for her. So she is around like maybe two people. That's the only people that can be around her. You never know; these people could have actually been turned as well. So there's no like Happy Meals with legs running about for her to actually turn people. Her vamp nappers have all wronged her daddy in some sort of time in their life, and Abigail has spent all this time recruiting them, finding out everything like a wee recon mission, and to make them pay through pretending to be a wee innocent child, and to be taken to the mansion and to play them off each other, finding out information about them, and to get her father the one she wants the most. How this was all a ruse to get the detective guy there, always a cock-faced guy, but he worked undercover and he was part of a job that went horribly wrong to the point he left and decided a life of crime was much better than actually protecting and serving his people. So he was working on one of the investigations, undercover operations that they actually spoke about in the first instance where they find out who our father actually is. And he said, no, it didn't happen like that. And he said that there was a job going wrong and that he came back and everybody had been slaughtered, basically. When he was working undercover to take out and find out information about the father's obviously underground empire. So he ends up, again, the guy Lambert has been turned, her manservant. He'd been turned a few years ago, apparently, and his plan, again, was to take out Abigail's father's kingdom, his empire. And he obviously helped Abigail recruit these people because, again, and in the plan, but wanted to make his own plan where he would take out Abigail and take out everything. And he would use the detective, and then him and the detective could basically become the heads of this new empire. And again, once you take out one person and you become, then there's just a big bullseye on your head. And if they are not liked, then they're going to take you out. He was in on it. He lured them all there for money and greed. Lambert wants to take them all out and take out the daddy. Makes me laugh. She's spent time to become a killer, a ripper, and she even jokes about how she's had much more time to practice doing the cool shit, basically. Unlike the vampires that have been turned, because a few of them end up being turned rather than killed. Her vamp nappers, so even being drained not completely, I don't think, they completely drain her first. They actually feed on her to drain her. And even though she's been drained to the point of almost fully, completely depleting her blood and her life force, keeping her alive, she'd still be stronger than a new vampire. And this is what makes me laugh. Just because you've drained her and she is very, very old, you're still not going to be able to take out someone like her. Not even by your height, your age, your build, and your strength. She's older. And again, being drained, she'd still have more power that was left in her life force than a new vampire. Because she's used to her powers, she's used to blending in with society to some extent, and she is used to honing her powers and her gifts, basically. They are not, because everything is overwhelming. You've seen the way vampires are turned. You see like their blood changing, you see their appetite changing, you see their actual mannerisms or persona, things that maybe they didn't like before or they weren't like before. They become these are amplified. This is basically what's happening, and she uses that again against them. So a new vampire, the plan was to drain her, take over the underworld of the Empire and become the god that runs it. What would happen? Well, no. It would not. There would be a plan if their people were taken out by these idiots, because you don't stay in power for that length of time without having a good power and a good business head, and also not being prepared for whatever the fuck can come. Big fight, but again the pinky swear thing comes through again throughout the movie between Joey and Abigail, and they end up having to fight together even though she wants to take her out. They take out the last one and try and get away. Her father comes out at the end and he is trying to claim he cares about her, yet he keeps her at arm's length. She wants approval, she wants his respect, his love, his loyalty, like she has for him. And how she took out everyone who has hurt him or the people he cares about, and yet he feels like she's more of a disappointment in her. He gives Joey a warning that it's dinner time basically, and it's a short time for her to get the fuck out. That's one thing. She gets away in the van that they drove up in at the start and they kidnapped Abigail in. She drives away and the movie ends with her headlights and driving away. Has she been forgiven for what she had done to her dad, Abigail's father? Now because he helped save Abigail, even though Abigail did it to herself. He let Joey leave, the only one, and she was not bitten, she was still human. But it just ends like that. The movie is actually like 94 minutes long, which again is incredibly short for a movie these days. Did I like Abigail? I like how they showed how crazy children become when they have become vampires. Again, this is spoken about in an interview with the vampire by Armand. We do not turn children because of what happens to them. By being a forever child, as you can imagine, staying in a child's body for an eternity and not being able to enjoy life living forever, not being able to progress to adulthood, even as a teenager, etc. These things are taken for granted, and you see this in an interview with the vampire with Claudia becoming a cold-blooded killer. Not even for food, but because she cannot become a woman and grow up. This is how Abigail is. She hates being seen as a vulnerable child when she is a ferocious, deadly weapon. That is like a bomb, ready to go off at any point. And again, she does. Love them showing the shift between child and monster versus the bad, but technically she is her own worst monster and her own bad guy, as I doubt she hasn't killed people. I doubt she hasn't killed anybody, basically. She turns people to help protect herself or her father. But she has most likely drained a few things, takes practice. I doubt he taught her anything, as she keeps trying to seek his approval, like the way a child does with a parent who doesn't care for family matters, even as a vampire. Did you enjoy Abigail? If you've seen it, let me know in the comments below. What did I enjoy most about the movie? The movie actually, again, like I said, was quite short for modern day. Where that was good. There wasn't much empty space, meaning there was no pauses, no dragged out scenes, no dragged out fight scenes, no stupid things that didn't have to be there. It was basically a story, a plot, some graphic, bloody, gory scenes like you get in horror, some vampires, some story, and it just kept its pace. There was no slowing down. Even when you felt that it was slower at times, it was usually because of story and to find, like when they find out who each other are, or who they find out the father is, and who they find out who Abigail is, and things like that. It's a build up. It's not more of a slowdown, it's more of a build up, and the pace has the same pace all the way through, and the build up and everything, and getting you into the kind of mood where you know, when's this film going to get horror? Well, it happens relatively quickly, so eerie noises and very memorable and quite funny death scenes as well. I felt it was similar to Ready or Not, where it was very fast paced when the action and the horror was happening, and the gore, which I really, really liked. because it was like, oh my god, look at the fuck. Oh my god, more and more and more. It was memorable. The blood spatter scenes that you've seen as well, they were she was dancing to her own story because she's in her ballet costume, she's in her tutu, and she's dancing like it's a part. Like, she's created this to get her father's attention, but she's also created it for herself because she obviously gets incredibly bored being by herself and not having anyone. So she's in character, she's in show mode, it's showtime, and she's all things crazy and sweet of all things and delicate but ruthless and a monster all at the same time. It's just wonderful to see the action of her dancing, and she's covered in blood and she's just in the moment of the dance, of the movement, and that's what I really liked about the movie. It had these simple little aspects of bringing in her ballet, her hobby, something that she enjoyed probably as a human, and she uses it again in her undead life. As she's killing people and she's making it more dramatic. It was very Black Swan in a lot of the kind of movements, which I really, really did enjoy. The only thing missing was the makeup, but she had a ton of, well, she had some funky teeth and also a lot of blood, put it that way. But she was just, it was so nice to watch just the movement. You have to watch it to understand what I mean. She's dancing to her own story, her own act. She kept with the show and didn't let anything get in her way of her finale. It made the scenes of bright ruby red blood sprayed across the room more artful. It was very expressive. She danced and caused carnage and chaos all at once, but to her it was playful and peaceful. She just swayed along with the show as if she was creating a masterpiece for her father. Look at me, I did this all for you type of attention seeking type thing. So would I recommend Abigail? Yes, I definitely would. That would definitely be a yes. I was going to say that even if I didn't enjoy it because it's a very different take on vampirism with some old-fashioned twists of revenge in a 21st century way, both with many old concepts and execution, it was delivered well, and the actress who plays Abigail is amazing. She's an amazing talent, and I cannot wait to see what she does in her career in the future. She's brought Abigail to life, and we need more horror stories like this, simple and creative. Let us bring more life into the characters that we haven't yet told their stories. And that was Abigail. If you like content like this, remember to go check us out on our Confessions from the Dark Side social media platforms. Our Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify and Buzzsprout. Let us know what you think over on our social media channels and platforms. And let's get chatting about this topic, all the topics. Let's grow our community and spread how awesome the horror community is. If you want to get to know us as individuals, then you can check us out in the links below. You've got Darcy, which is myself, and my channel is Behind the Mash Reviews, and I have a YouTube, an Instagram, a Twitch, and a Kick. Lunar has his channel is Lunar X Rising, and he has a YouTube, a Twitch, and an Instagram. And if you need to reach out to us at any point, we have some email addresses. We have confessionsfromthedarkside@gmail.com, all one word, all lowercase. And mine is Darcy Behind the Mash Reviews @gmail.com, and the spelling is on the screen right now. And Lunar is lunarxrising@gmail.com if you would like to reach out to him. And as I said, that was Abigail, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I really, really, really cannot wait to see more films like this, smaller horror movies with better stories, better concept, better visuals. Let us know in the comments below, what movie do you think I should watch next? Is there any horror movie you think that I should watch? Is there any terrible horror movies that you think I should watch and do some commentary on? Let me know in the comments below. I am Darcy Darkness, and that was Confessions from the Dark Side Presents Reviews from the Dark Side, Abigail, and I'll see you in the next one. Later.